Imagine a world where every hour you only had 1 minute to talk. Now, this is a finite number. You can't save your hours or minutes of talking. You can't do all of this. You get 1 minute every hour, and that's it. To text, talk, music, anything that conveys a message, you only had 1 hour. How would the world look? How would society change? Would people be more thoughtful in their words? Would they write scripts for everything? Would public speaking be as big? Would influencing be as big? Would people really sacrifice minutes of talking that they could spend with their family, friends, loved ones? Or would they spend it online trying to grow following? Would videos take hours and days to make? Or would videos even exist at all? Would language become more short and concise? Would there be a universal language? These are all questions that I'm interested in. So I'm gonna go ahead and I forgot what I was saying. I'm vacuuming my house now, but yeah, I think it's very interesting. Like, would people be more sincere with how they talk? Because right now, there's a lot of people who have nothing to do but spend their time talking trash, all this shit. And it's really, oh, looking at the timer, I can't. How much less distractions would there be? And people would be more sincere because they have only 1 minute to say it every hour. That's a long time. I just waited an entire hour. That is a long time. And I'm already halfway done with my text. Like, would people start saying their words at the beginning and get it all out because they've been thinking of it? Would they be thinking of it for way longer than they would say it? I don't think you would just say things out the top of your head if you have only 1 minute, because the words actually become more meaningful because you actually have to wait for them. And that's I decided this time to write a script, as only being able to talk an entire conversation with only 1 minute off the top of your head is very, very challenging. The main question I have is how people will respond. I mean, the whole reason why humans are where we are now is because of communication and being able to do it so frequently and so well. So, if this ability is hindered, how would we adapt in order to still thrive? It seems dating and reproducing would almost be impossible to balance, especially alongside other relationships and friends, unless you rely on body language alone. But would that mean everybody start using body language instead of talking? It seems like technology would slowly start to fade, and less people would want to waste time on it because they want to be out in the real world communicating, with body language, whatever. The funniest thing is that just like money, the internet would cease to exist if people stopped believing it did. It's very interesting. As I said before, I'm also curious about the language, like would the universal language be one, language so people could talk, or would there be more languages because it's just everyone's in like their own vicinity and they can't really talk to anyone else outside because they don't have time, Or would language even exist at all? Would it be just body language, like talking to people and we make an entire alphabet and shit out of our hands, like body language, not sign language, because that is a language, but just other stuff, you know what I mean? And if language did exist, would it be more like finna, gonna, woulda, all those types of abbreviations to make the phrases more fast so you could talk more? I don't know. Like, I think it's very interesting on what would happen, I personally think that language would still exist, but it'd be much faster and maybe one word reactions like yeah or you know what I mean? Another thing I'm interested in is world leaders. Like how would how would countries still be countries if the leaders of the countries could only talk for 1 minute? And this means addressing the public and talking to military and all that stuff. Like how would it work? Especially in a world where every action has to be justified if it's not in the norm. You know what I mean? In our current society, it feels like words get you out of almost everything and anything, especially a country. So how would countries that, like the US, that are in so much debt, how would they stand? Would they stand? I don't think they would. Along with that, how would people get money if they can't commercialize their products? Because that would be also a minute, you know? Everyone has 1 minute to talk. So, I mean, you can only do 1 minute long ads. I mean, I guess you could do ads, but going to the cashier or the store, that's a lot of time to check out and stuff. Lastly, and the hardest topic, I think, is would like how would people cope with the fact? I know if AI takes over, yeah, it'll take months to develop only one line of code every so often, right? But it probably will come into play. And if that starts taking over jobs where people can't talk but they can because they aren't in our boundary, then everyone would just have nothing to do in this bustling society. Like, I feel it's a problem with both things. Would drug consumption become higher because there's nothing else to do? So people would sit there and pass time as much as they can. It either goes two ways, that we come together and we build and innovate like we always have in the past, or if that time is over, if we've evolved too quickly, will we just give up? What would you do? Let me know in the comments.